All right, a couple thoughts here after some conversations over the last couple weeks here, and just even some self-reflection on my own ability to lead people and questioning some of the things that I do or don't do, in all honesty, and that hopefully can be kind of an awareness thing for people that are out there. And I always try to think of like metaphors or stories that kind of teach something like this that is more impactful. And I think of this like as a leader, you're trying to get somebody from point A to point B. And the problem is they can't see past point A in most cases on there. Like they fail to have a vision or a hope for something greater over here. Therefore, this uncertainty in the middle keeps them from wanting to move. Like if they knew exactly what was going to happen over here, like if you said you got a 2 + 2 = 4 on there. The problem is right now is that X + Y = Z. Like they don't have a freaking clue what this over here, and they really don't understand what is actually like required of them, not just physically, but mentally, and the investment emotionally into something to get to here. Therefore, what do? They don't leave here. This is comfort over here. This is pain. This isn't even pain over here. This is a level of comfort or reward over here, but there's pain in the middle of it. Therefore, they don't want to go there. And I think of that from a leadership perspective, like they have to be willing to follow you. You're not standing over here saying, hey, come over here, come over here. You're standing over here with them, and you got to be willing to say, you know what? Follow me through here. I want you to follow me through here. As we get through here, then I want you to start to lead me through the rest of the way on here. And I think of an analogy of like as a swamp. Like there's a murky, nasty water. You have no clue what's in that water, but there's a pot of gold per se on the other side over here that you want to get. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You got to go through it. And there's so much to be said about having to go through something and the development at which you get through the adversity and the hard stuff going through the middle. And that's leadership. Like you've got to help them go through. And when they want to turn back and go back, you say, you know what? Nope, you're coming with me here a little bit. There's fog. There's murky water. You can't see in front of you. You don't know what's underneath your feet. You know if it's stable. That's another analogy. You don't know if it's stable. Like is where I'm going stable or not? Is it safe on there? Is the discomfort worth it? As a leader, you have to build trust first. Like if you build a relationship and there's trust over here to be willing to follow you, and then when you say don't turn back, they don't turn back, that only happens because there's trust there on it. And secondly, as a leader, you have to create some level of expectation. They have to know what's over here. You got to paint the picture. What's the vision of where they're going over here? And what's the expectation along the way? And part of the expectation is that yeah, you're going to have to go through some of these challenges on there, and it's not going to be easy. Don't tell them it's going to be easy, because if you tell them that and it's not easy, guess what? They're not going to believe you. The trust goes out the window when it gets hard then at that point. So keeping them moving through that part. And next with that is the accountability around those expectations of what's required out of them to do that. Are you capable of having the hard conversations with them? Are you capable of holding their butt to the fire? They said they want this over here. They don't know what's in the middle, but you know what? You told them you would get them through that. And part of getting them through that is having a hard conversation with them and requiring them to get outside of their comfort zone, requiring them to lead for part of it, requiring them to take a step they didn't want to, requiring them to not quit on there. Can you have that conversation with them, or is that too uncomfortable for you? If it's too uncomfortable for you, you're not a leader at that point. And lastly on there is that you need to empower them to start to be the leader. As they get closer to that, like you holding their hand needs to switch to their leading you at that point. They're moving you forward through the process on there. And that's the trick to this, is that if they could develop the confidence and the certainty because of the development and the process of which they went through on here, now it's really easy for them to go if you give them permission to go. If you give them the ability to take those final steps on their own, to now they feel like they have confidence, they have certainty, they got more buy-in now. Like they've been part of, not just part of it, they are the victory that happens over there. Because the pot of gold over here is not the pot of gold they thought it was. It's the person they became through the process of it. And without you holding their hand with some trust and some expectations and accountability along the way, they haven't developed enough then to be able to take that step that you're asking them to take at the end to truly be a leader themselves at that point. So again, it's a process, it's a journey. You as a leader, again, you're with them. If you're not with them, you're not leading them at that point. You can't detach so far away from it that they don't feel some level of safety along the way, being willing to take those steps that they need to get to the other side on there. So again, that picture, that analogy fits for me, It's just if without that relationship in the beginning, you can't take those steps. You got to start with that point. You got to be really freaking clear with where you're going, what it's going to take of them, and what they're going to run into along the way. And you got to be willing to hold their butt accountable to the process to get through the other side. And you have to empower them to take those final steps on their own, so that way they feel like they did it. If it's just you, they didn't grow. If it's them, at that point, they had to find some pride from it that they can transfer over to the next person that they're going to be doing to it at that point in time as a course of time. That's how you got there yourself when you think about it. So put it into play.